Alright, man, we live. What's up, y'all? My name is Patrick Seals, and we're here to talk about the Atlanta Falcons defensive line struggles since the year 2000, man. I'm talking about since the millennium done turned, the Atlanta Falcons done struggled rushing the quarterback. Now, we live on YouTube and TikTok. You know what I mean? We streaming on both of them right now, so I want to go ahead and dive deep into this stupidity. Let me get this right. I want to dive deep into this stupidity that the Atlanta Falcons have portrayed in the free agency and in the NFL draft when it comes to drafting defensive linemen and basically getting busts in the free agency, spending big money on players who ain't amount to nothing. The only person who probably did anything for us in the whole time that we had him was John Abraham. You know what I'm talking about? The beautiful, the Predator. I know that's kind of a tricky thing to call yourself now. You know what I'm talking about? He was calling himself the Predator long before the Me Too movement. But at the same time, this dude was racking up 10 sacks a season. I'm talking about double-digit sacks a season. That's something that you just don't see on an everyday basis, especially now when the Atlanta Falcons are always ranked near the bottom in the league when it comes to NFL sacks, man. This is, I hate it. It's an ugly statistic. But we got to talk about it, man. We have to talk about the do's, the don'ts, the whys, and the buts about this particular situation because it's baffling. Every year, we go into the draft, we get a defensive lineman who turns out to be nothing. We go into the free agency, we get a defensive lineman who turns out to be nothing. We can't rush the quarterback. We can't get pressure on the quarterback. We can't get sacks. We can't get turnovers. We can't get fumbles. And it's been persistent for a very long time. For a couple of head coaches, a couple of defensive coordinators, the turnovers, it's been tremendous. So, we're going to go ahead and talk about it on TikTok. Y'all go ahead and send me 20 lightning bolts. So we're going to go ahead and answer some questions once we get that going over here on YouTube. Y'all go ahead and do the same thing. Y'all like, subscribe, share, comment. Tell everybody about what's going on right now because we're going to dive deep into the Atlanta Falcons defensive line problems for the past 25 years. Now, this is a problem that's been going on for the past 25 years in the making. And I'm just sick of it. You understand? I'm just sick of it. It's something that is the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. Let's just be honest. I mean, Grady Jarrett had 3 sacks, but Vic Beasley, you know what I mean? Okay, let's just start here. Okay, so we haven't been drafting good defensive linemen for the past 25 years. We can go back to Jamal Anderson, Parade Jerry, Rashid Hageman, Tack McKinley, Marlon Davidson, and Deidre Siddick. So we're going to start with Jamal Anderson, 2007, 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. Complete bust. Complete bustalonia. You hear what I'm saying? Buster Douglas. Buzz. This dude had 4.5 sacks in 4 years. This dude didn't even have a sack his entire rookie season. This dude robbed us without a gun. This dude was the 8th overall pick, and he had a total of 4 sacks in 4 years. Jamal Anderson, not the Jamal Anderson that took us to the Super Bowl doing the Dirty Bird. I'm talking about the Jamal Anderson defensive lineman. Oh, man. All right. Let's talk about Parade Jerry. This dude, he retired so quick, man. He probably lasted enough for a cup of coffee to get cold. You understand? He was in and out before, in the blink of an eye. It was a very somber moment on the Hard Knocks program. Did he retire? Did he retire? He retired? Wow. Parade Jerry, man. Man. He got hurt his first season, so he didn't even play his rookie season. And honestly, he didn't even do anything. He didn't make an impact on the team. He barely got any tackles, barely got any game plan. I mean, it's terrible. All right, Rashid Hageman. We all remember this dude now. This dude, he had some domestic violence problems. He had some problems on the field and off the field. This dude was a beast. He was kind of big. He was stocky. Defensive tackle. He got a sack on Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game. But it was a shoelace tackle. He just swiped his shoe and he fell. And then the following offseason, he had a domestic violence charge and he was out. He was out in the blink of an eye. What could have been? I remember watching Brian Cox trying to coach him up on Hard Knocks, trying to tell him, hey, man, you got to settle down. You got to get in the groove. You can't just let your emotions take the best of you. And as we saw, he let his emotions take the best out of him. These football players and these domestic violence charges, man, they do not cease. And this dude was out of the league. He was on the, I think, Roger Goodell's exempt list for a long time, but nobody wanted to pick him up. He had all these legal problems. He couldn't sack the quarterback. You know, in the NFL, if you're able to produce anything, they'll bend over backwards for you. They bent over backwards for AB with all the stupidity he had going on, but he just couldn't get it wrapped around his finger. Thank y'all for joining over here on TikTok. Y'all like, subscribe, share, comment. Make sure y'all sending in those lightning bolts. Y'all send in 20 lightning bolts. I'm going to answer some questions. 20 lightning bolts get one question answered. Rashid Hagan, just terrible. Just terrible. Barely any production. Off the field issues. You get no love from me beating on women. You get no love from me on that. Takk McKinley. We all remember this dude. We traded up for him. This makes me mad about this. A lot of players in the NFL draft that we got defensive wise, we skipped over a lot of great players. For example, Takk McKinley. We skipped over TJ Watt for this dude. And we traded up. We traded up for Takk McKinley. We traded up for him. And we still skipped over TJ Watt, man. I can't believe it. Takk McKinley, as soon as he got drafted, he had a vulgar outburst, I should say. And Deion Sanders was telling him, hey, man, football is about controlling that anger, controlling that emotion. And he was just crying on stage. And it was, you know what I mean? I thought that he was going to amount to something. Coming after the Super Bowl, we needed somebody to compliment Vic Beasley over there on the right side. And we thought that was going to be Takk McKinley. But unfortunately, he had injury problems. He had problems staying on the field. And then once he left Atlanta, he just could not find a job anywhere else. He failed the physical in San Fran. He failed the physical in Cincinnati. I had hopes for this dude. I had high hopes for this dude, Takk McKinley, but unfortunately, he didn't amount to the jack diddly squat. You understand? He didn't really do anything for the team, didn't make an impact. Adrian Claiborne made more of an impact than Takk McKinley did. Adrian Claiborne had a 6-sack game, and Takk McKinley couldn't even imagine being that close to that level of production, that level of. All right, let's move on. Marlon Davis and Adedrian Sidney. Who? I know you're asking, who are these guys? That if you're a longtime Falcons fan, you might slightly heard of these guys, maybe. But for the most part, they didn't really make an impact. They didn't really get in the game. They didn't really do anything to contribute in the long term or even in the short term. It was just they were in long enough to get fitted for their cleats and swap out jerseys with Julio Jones. That was it. Other than that, they weren't in long enough to do too much of nothing. And just utter disappointment in the draft, man. Utter disappointment when it comes to drafting defensive linemen. We skipped over a lot of great players. For subpar talent. Jamal Anderson, everybody thought that he was going to come in and make a huge difference, and this dude didn't get a sack his entire rookie season. Parade Jerry, the following year we went offensive heavy, getting Matt Ryan, Sam Baker, Harry Douglas, and then we try and go in the first round in the 2009 draft and get a defensive lineman who retired 5 years into his career. Didn't really make an impact. Didn't really get any production going on for us. Didn't move the pocket. Didn't move the needle. Didn't barely sell any jerseys. Just an all around bust. Just bust after bust when it comes to these defensive linemen, man. Lone bright spots have been in free agencies known as John Abraham. And like I talked about before, love John Abraham, called himself the Predator. Long before the Me Too movement, probably after the Predator from Alien vs. Predator. I'm pretty sure he's a fan of that. I love John Abraham. Sad when he left after the 2012 season. And ever since he left, we've had a problem consistently getting pressure on the quarterback. We did have the one-year wonder Vic Beasley in 2016, but John Abraham, for the most part, he was a consistent threat on that outside. And he was such a consistent threat that teams would double him. They would double him and triple cover him, and he would basically become non-existent in games to a certain degree. He was able to get certain pressures on the quarterback. I remember in the NFC divisional game against the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers torched us. John Abraham did get a sack. He was able to get some type of pressure, but it was just too much. I just remember Mike Smith talking about we needed explosiveness. And the only thing I could think of, like, we needed defense. We needed defense. Aaron Rodgers torched us in that 2010 divisional round, man. He torched us. He came to Atlanta and lit a fire, tore the Georgia Dome down en route to the Super Bowl. He tore us apart. And Chris Owens was out. For some reason, that was a major problem. Chris Owens was the nickelback, and Aaron Rodgers ate us on the slot. He had slot receivers going every which way but backwards, and he was eating on us, man. And it was a bad day to be in the Atlanta Falcons. And John Abraham was getting double teamed left and right, wasn't able to do anything because he didn't have anybody to back him up. What's going on, Christy? Good morning. He didn't have anybody to back him up, and that's a major problem. That when we do get somebody who can put pressure on the quarterback. They can just slide the coverage over here to the left. They can slide the protection over here to the left and get double teams, get the running back to get a chip, get the tight end to get a chip, and to slow us down. And that's just something. We tried to get Ray Edwards, free agency bust. We tried to get Ray Edwards in the 2011 season, but he was a complete waste of money. Complete waste of money. We wasted millions of dollars on him, and he didn't do jack diddly squat. He was probably in long enough. I think he left it the 2012 season. Midway through the 2012 season. He stayed the whole 2011 season, probably had like 4 or 5 sacks throughout the entire season. Had a fumble recovery in the Eagles game against Mike Vick. But for the most part, Ray Edwards didn't do anything. He was supposed to be our big free agency signing who was going to complement John Abraham on the right side and get pressure to take some of the pressure off of John Abraham, but he didn't do nothing. He didn't do jack diddly squat. And this has been a problem for the Atlanta Falcons for years. The defensive line has always plagued us. John Abraham, he faced a lot of different coaches. Brian Van Gordy, Mike Nolan. Brian Van Gordy, I just remember this dude just always yelling at his players, just making them feel all bad. I hated this dude for some reason. I hated him. And Mike Nolan, his whole philosophy when it came to defense was just blitz. Just blitz, 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 blitz. He did try and do the amoeba defense where they have 3 defensive tackles and John Abraham, and that did work to some degree against Peyton Manning, but for the most part, it just didn't. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times in the second half of football games, our defense would just go kaplooey. In the Russell Wilson game, in the Seattle Seahawks, in the playoffs, we had a 17-0 lead, no, 20-0 lead. And the Seahawks came marching back, and we had to have late game heroics to win that game. And in the following week against the San Fran 49ers, 17-0, Colin Kaepernick came storming back, and our defense couldn't do nothing. We couldn't stop Frank Gore. We couldn't stop Colin Kaepernick. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't get a sack. We couldn't get pressure. It's all the time. The New York Giants game, the wild card game in the playoffs, 24-2. Eli Manning just torched us. Couldn't get pressure. Nothing. John Abraham out there by himself just getting put to sleep. He on the island. Jeff Runyon put him on the island, man. Just, it's terrible. Terrible. And then we got the Vic Beasley year. Vic Beasley, the illusion known as Vic Beasley. That dude had us thinking that we had found the defensive lineman of the future. But what a bust he was. 1 year wonder. Drafted 8th overall in the 2015 pick. First Dan Quinn pick of the Dan Quinn era. And he did have his moments. He had his season. He was very fast and he was very small. He was able to get in, dip around the tackles. I asked in the previous live, which is the most beneficial, pressures or sacks. Well, I'll finish this thought first, and then I'll come back to that question. Vic Beasley picked 8th overall, first pick of the Dan Quinn era, and I don't know. He had us thinking that we found our defensive lineman of the future, but the intangibles for him were just too big. He was too small, too weak. A lot of offensive linemen way bigger than him. They could run the ball right towards him, double team him, take him out of the play, and then just put a capable anchor on the right side of the offensive line and just stymie Vic Beasley. Vic Beasley went missing. Vic Beasley went missing in the playoffs that year. He didn't get a sack, a pressure, nothing. He got his hands on the ball in the Super Bowl, but he dropped it. That fool dropped the game-winning interception, and one of the reasons why we lost the Super Bowl. And one of the major reasons that Vic Beasley was such an enigma was that he played at the linebacker position. So sometimes Dan Quinn would have him blitzing on the line, or he would be playing coverage. And in that particular play, when he dropped the pass, the interception, he was playing coverage. He was playing coverage, which is kind of odd. This dude done had 15.5 sacks in the season. He led the league in sacks, and you have him dropping back in coverage in goal line situation? It just didn't make sense. But at the same time, we all understand how Bill Belichick does these things. He's going to take away your greatest asset, and it's not hard to do that with Big Beasley. You just double team him. He's a small dude. Chip him with the running back tight end. Gronkowski's bigger than him. And take him completely out of the game. Now, to the question of which is better, pressure or sacks? Sacks. All day long. You can't have sacks without pressure. So you would rather have sacks. Pressure, we've seen Colin Kaepernick eat on us before. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson in these playoff games before. We've seen these mobile quarterbacks, you get pressure on them, they're able to elude and make plays on the ball. And ultimately, the pressure is not enough. You need to get the quarterback on the ground. You need to get a sack stats in the column sheet. That's just the bottom line. You need to get a stat. You need to get that sack. Because I've seen it happen too many times. What do you think about our draft pick? I love it. I passed. I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Y'all keep sending in those likes, those gifts, everything else. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to keep answer this question over here on YouTube, and I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Rise Up 88. Thank you for joining. But yeah, I feel like the sacks are the best thing that's going. You got to have sacks. Pressure is cool. You will like pressure on every play. You can't get a sack on every play, but you will want pressure on every play. You will want your defensive line to penetrate the offensive line, to push the pocket, to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable in the pocket, especially if he's a right-handed quarterback. You want to flush him to his left side so he's throwing unbalanced, going to the left side via Aaron Rodgers. So pressure, of course, but sacks are the ultimate goal as a defensive lineman. You can't win ball games with pressure. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't win ball games with pressure. I've seen it too many times. Like I said, we get pressure, but we don't get any sacks. I've seen Sean Witherspoon get pressure on Drew Brees, and Drew Brees just spin off of it and throw a touchdown. I've seen it happen before. I've seen Tony Romo do the same thing. Pressure is not enough. Pressure might be enough in high school, college football, but in the NFL, these are the elite players, and they're able to stay on their feet, get their wits about them, and make a play. What does pressure do for Lamar Jackson? It does absolutely nothing. You can get pressure on him, but that's not going to stop him from scoring a touchdown. It's not going to stop him from making an awesome play and juking you out your draws. Pressure ain't enough. Pressure is not enough. What is pressure going to do for Josh Allen? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is bench pressing squatting damn near 800 pounds. Pressure, he might be able to truck your best linebacker. He weighs about the same as a linebacker. Cam Newton was out here trucking NFL linebackers with pressure. Stiff arming them to the ground and throwing a touchdown. Pressure is not enough. I need to get that quarterback on the ground immediately, by any means necessary. Pressure ain't gonna cut it. And back over here to you, TikTok. What do I think about him? What do I think about the pick? I love him. I ain't gonna lie. I've been watching this dude for the past couple of years, man. I've been watching Jalen Walker for the past couple of years at Georgia, and he's been tremendous. That Texas game, absolutely stupendous, both of them. He's been the constant pressure that Georgia needed on that left side, and I'm glad he's an Atlanta Falcon. He doesn't have to go too far. He can come right down, 75. However you get down to Atlanta from Athens. But he can come right down. All his fans can wear his jerseys back and forth. You know what I'm talking about? It's the best of both worlds. I'm happy that he's here, and I'm happy that the Atlanta Falcons finally are drafted within the state, because it doesn't make sense for Georgia Bulldogs to go all the way to Philadelphia. You know what I'm talking about? We don't need no more Georgia Bulldogs giving Philly another Super Bowl. That's just, I want to throw up. I want to throw up. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Kobe Dean winning another city a Super. Okay, I'm gonna move on. So Vic Beasley, 1 year wonder, caught lightning in the bottle, 15.5 sacks in one season. He was up for Defensive Player of the Year. Ultimately, he lost out to Khalil Mack. And then the following year, he went missing. He didn't do that ever again. He didn't ever reach that level of greatness ever again in his career. That dude was knocking the ball. He probably had like, I want to say about 8 strip sacks in 2016. That accounted for half of his sacks. The following years was just disaster after disaster after disaster. No pressure on the quarterback, just Vic Beasley just being missing. And then eventually he was cut and went to Tennessee. And then he was out of the league. How does this happen? I'll tell you how. After the Super Bowl, people figured out that Vic Beasley is kind of small. You know, compared to the average offensive tackle, he's kind of small. And then on top of that, he's not as strong as the average defensive lineman. So he can't press. He can't bull rush. The only move that he has was a spin move or just a speed rush. And once he didn't have that in his arsenal anymore, he didn't have any more tools to use against these NFL caliber offensive linemen. And he was never a threat in the run game. He was not big enough. Again, double team, you can run the ball right towards him. Fullback, tight end, take him completely out of the play. So, what are the other options? Well, like I said, the following year we tried to get Takk McKinley. We traded up to get Takk McKinley to give Vic Beasley a little bit of pressure, but that didn't work out. That didn't work out so good. You know what I'm talking about? It just didn't. Takk McKinley got hurt. He had some problems getting healthy, and it just didn't work out. GM Falcons family, the new era is here. The Atlanta Falcons arrive in 2025. We all hope so, brother. We all hope so. But I'm going to talk about Grady Jarrett real quick. So sad to see him go. Oh, man. I came in with Vic Beasley, Clemson, brother. Son of Jesse Tuggle, outside baby. Jesse Tuggle's having outside babies. Anyway, Grady Jarrett, 5th overall pick. Love him to death, man. Came alive in the Super Bowl, had 3 sacks on Tom Brady. Probably the only pressure that we had. I take that back. We had 5 sacks on Tom Brady altogether, but just in general, the amount of pressure we was able to get on, it wasn't a lot in that Super Bowl. But thank God that Grady Jarrett was there, and he was able to get some sacks on that boy known as Tom Brady. And he became a superstar to me. He became one of my favorite Falcons of all times. I felt so sad for him that we ended up losing that game because I know that he probably could have won Super Bowl MVP. Let's be honest. He was going to win Super Bowl MVP. But at the end of the day, the defense just collapsed. The defense collapsed in that second half. Where do I start? We had Grady Jarrett. After Vic Beasley left, he was the only person able to generate any type of pressure on the quarterback. He was the man in the double team, always able to split guards and centers and get in the backfield and create pressure on the quarterback, disrupt the run game, push the pocket, and he just got treated so badly while he was here. You know, not literally, but just scheme-wise. He was never offered any help. He was never offered any top talent to complement his skill sets. He was always offered 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks. We had a Dante Fowler, Calais Campbell here. But these guys, they were past their prime, not the best. I don't know, man. We didn't give Grady Jarrett the best tools that he needed to succeed. He was always getting triple team, double team, and it wasn't always a favorable matchup for him to succeed. And a lot of that just got to be put at the foot of the Atlanta Falcons organization of not just structuring their defense to succeed, not getting the pieces they need to complement Grady Jarrett so he can generate pressure on quarterbacks. Because, like I said, this problem isn't just something that just started overnight. We've been seeing players coming in and out of the league. T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt. We got Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. These dudes coming in at They got brothers, man. These dudes got brothers, so we don't have. Okay. So Grady Jarrett is out. He's in Chicago now, and hopefully he'll be able to lead them to not a Super Bowl, but just whatever they do up there in Chicago. Sad to see him go. Just a major problem for the Falcons. Statistical wise, since 2004, the Atlanta Falcons have consistently ranked in the bottom tier for sacks, with some seasons finishing dead last. Consistently finishing at the bottom tier when it comes to sacks in the entire NFL. Consistently. And in the years that we make the playoffs, it's an anomaly, if you ask me. We got to have a superb offense to succeed in the playoffs. If we have just an semblance of balance of complementary football where the defense gets pressure, they stop the run, plug holes, stop the run game in the backfield, get tackles for losses, get sacks, it might just take a little bit of pressure off of the quarterback, off the offense. What's up, y'all? Hit that thumbs up. Tell them, Christy Lewis. Tell them, hit that thumbs up. Y'all like, subscribe, share, comment, and y'all send in y'all questions, man. But yeah, just an semblance of defensive pressure might be able to stop our offense from being out on the field so long. If we get stops in that Super Bowl, we're not losing. We get some pressures. We get some, okay. I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl. I'm just gonna you're not talking about the Super Bowl. Okay. In 2024, the Atlanta Falcons recorded a historically low sack rate of just 2.2%, one of the worst in the NFL since 2000. We have a terrible sack rate. What are your thoughts on finally being a young, complete team on both sides of the ball? Well, we're not a complete young team yet. We're still putting all the pieces to the puzzle together. One of the major problems that the Atlanta Falcons have faced for the past couple of years is just drafting. We've just been too offensive heavy. In the Arthur Smith years, every first-round pick was an offensive player. Every last single one of them. What's happening, Christy? 100 Days of Football. Tell them. Just yet. In the Arthur Smith years, just all first-round picks were offensive players. No, we've seen a ton. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davidson, N'Kobe Dean, all Jordan players, of course, but a lot of great defensive players that Atlanta Falcons completely skipped over. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a Bijan Robinson. Jake Matthews still the oldest, but like just overall right now, we just real focused on the offense. The offense is very young, and the defense is trying to catch up. We got a lot of players on defense came in from free agency, older players. We spent a lot of money on Calais Campbell, Dante Fowler, Ray Edwards, the Dwight Freeneys of the world, and we neglected the defensive line a lot of times in the draft by focusing mainly on the offense. In the Dan Quinn years, we spent a lot of draft capital on defensive backs. We had Keanu O'Neal, Jalen Collins. We spent draft capital on Deion Jones, Duke Riley. And we just neglected that defensive line, man. We neglected that defensive line. And then just like I said, in the past couple of years, we had Kyle Pitts. We had Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Michael Penix Jr., all in first-round picks. And a lot of defensive players that we skipped over. I love Bijan. I love Drake London. I'm going to see what Mike P can do. And don't get me started on Kyle Pitts. But just 4 straight years of offensive players when we were in the bottom tier in defensive sacks it's structural. I'm glad Arthur Smith is gone because he did not care about that defense. It is very apparent. He did not care about the defense. He thought that if the offense is good enough, they could take over any problems that the defense has. And constantly, the defense was constantly giving up big leads. We was in the bottom tier on offense and defense. Defense in sacks. Just in sacks. Just because, like I said, in the past couple of years, defensive line play has been down. But Arthur Smith just totally neglected that defensive line. He neglected that defense in general. He just thought that if the offense was good enough, then it would take over any problems that we have right now. And I'm glad that this dude is gone. I'm so glad that he no longer plays for our team and he is out because, that dude, I just really, really hated him, to be honest. I really, really hated Arthur Smith, and you have no idea. So, yes, a lot of systemic problems, a lot of failures all around. being in the bottom tier of sack rates in the past couple years is terrible. Okay, let's see. What are your thoughts on finally being a young complete team? What's happening to Chrissy less than 100 days till Falcons football? Where aren't we young at besides Jake Matthews? We're good on offense. Like I said, we're young on offense. It's the defense. The defense isn't very young. We have Jesse Bates. He's a veteran. We have AJ Terrell. He's a 5-year vet. He's kind of young. But then again, I think we still have Justin Simmons. That defense is just a mystery to me because we have a lot of unproven young talent. And I don't really count that as having a young talent. We have a lot of practice squad, you know what I mean, undrafted free agents, playing, plugging and placing. I don't really count that as a young team. I count that as a team that's just making up the numbers. They're just trying to fill in a place where we're lacking at right now. And the only place you can do that right now when you don't have the actual capital is undrafted free agents and just practice squad players. So the defense isn't very young to me. We got rid of, I'm not going to say we did, though. We got rid of Grady Jarrett, one of our oldest veterans on the defensive side. And everybody else is just, we're going to see. Like I said, I love Jalen Walker. I love what he brings to the table. For the life of me, I haven't been able to remember the Tennessee player's name. I know he came from Tennessee Vols, but I can't remember his name because it's a Bulldog house. But I'm glad he's here, and I hope he does tremendous things for the Atlanta Falcons. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about these free agency failures, man, because we done spent a lot of money on free agents who didn't amount to anything. Hold on, wait, let me look at your question real quick. We spent a lot of money on free agents who didn't amount to anything. Well, we got 2 of the top 3 edges in the draft. We got 2 top ball hawks in this draft. Brought in a DT with more sacks than Grady, and we brought in Floyd, who gives you 10 plus sacks. Let's hope so, because we still got Matthew Judon, who we thought was going to do the same thing, and who has been a complete waste of money. I'm going to be honest, landing with Diablo. Yeah. We still got Matthew Judon, and that's what I'm saying. We spent a lot of money on free agents who didn't amount to anything. Oh, we don't have Judon? Oh, thank God, because he was a waste of money. He was a waste of money. Didn't do anything. 5 sacks. Okay. All right, let's start with these free agency draft failures. We got Tyson Jackson. Y'all remember Tyson Jackson? 5 years, $25 million, 0 sacks. You hear what I just said, Gator Boy? Did y'all hear that over here on TikTok? I said Tyson Jackson got paid $25 million for 5 years, and he didn't have a sack. Nothing. Just a fat boy with money. It's a fat boy with fat pockets. Just waste of money. All right, let's keep it moving. Dante Fowler, $48 million. And he had 7.5 sacks over 2 years. That's not too bad compared to Tyson Jackson. Dante Fowler, I'll probably say he's probably been our best free agency signing for the defensive line this far. But still, though, you know what I mean? And you're really bringing up 2015 free agent. I got 2, because we're talking about since the 2000s. We're talking about the Atlanta Falcons defensive line problems since the year 2000. 25 years of defensive line problems. And that includes Tyson Jackson. You were there. We all seen it. Spent a lot of money on this dude, and he didn't do nothing. Just took up a jersey. Ray Edwards, another person. We thought that he was the big free agency signing of 2011 and didn't do jack diddly squats. Didn't do nothing. We 40 plus sacks in 2023. I remember one year TJ Watt had more sacks than our entire team did. TJ Watt, one player had more sacks than our entire team did. That's terrible. Like I said, Dante Fowler, $48 million, man, 7.5 sacks. It's not too bad for us. Matthew Judon, he's out. Okay, traded for him, 5.5 sacks. That's not too bad for the Atlanta Falcons, but it's bad. It's bad. It's bad for the NFL, but for the Atlanta Falcons, considering that I probably said we didn't go the first 5 games last year without a sack. We didn't have a sack the first 5 games last year. All right, let's go. And now we got Leonard Floyd. Like I said, we got Leonard Floyd. He's a decent signing. But I don't know. I would rather have like a Dwight Freeney come in and teach these young guys something. Because I remember when Dwight Freeney came in, he had everybody trying to do the spin move. And, you know, just systemically, you can't really put a price on that type of value when you can teach somebody something, especially younger players, a skill set. Because he was probably the reason why Vic Beasley had 50.5 sacks that year. And Leonard Floyd, you know what I mean? I like him. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see what happens. I ain't gonna really get too caught up on what's gonna come next year. We also have 4 players who won the Super Bowl with Raheem and Rams and Floyd Desire free sign. Okay. Oh, he came from the Rams. Okay, he from that Super Bowl team. Okay. I see what you said. Okay, we're gonna see. Like I said, we're gonna see. Because I don't really put too much stock into what's gonna happen next year. I mean, because I can't prove that. I can only see what's happened. And Raheem did win a bowl with the Rams, but at the same time, I mean, that defensive line was legendary. Aaron Donald, and I think about it, Leonard Floyd was on that team. Marcellus Bennett, that defensive line, you know what I mean? You can't. How much coaching does Aaron Donald need? How much scheme does Aaron Donald need when you have Jalen Ramsey in the backfield? You know what I mean? How much does he need? You just need Aaron Donald to not get double teamed every play. That's all you need. And I hope Leonard Floyd can make a difference this year. I hope he can make a difference because we need it. We need it bad. And just all around, just a lot of failures when it comes to free agencies. A lot of failures. The biggest free agency win that we had was John Abraham. Came from the Jets. Lasted from 2006 to 2012. And ever since, we've been missing a decent 10 plus sack player. Floyd Fox Fuller. That's too many F's. It's too many F's. That's 3 F's. I don't like that many F's. No, it's too many F's. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. Why this matters? Well, the reason why all this matters is because if you can't get Alex Mack, I love Alex Mack, man. I love me some Mack. When that dude came in, he put an anchor on our offensive line, man. He was that veteran leadership that our offensive line needed all the way in route to that Super Bowl. All right. So, yes, you need sacks. You need pressure on the quarterback so he can make mistakes, so he can get inside of his head. He knows that he's not going to have a clean game. He's going to get dirty, be on the ground. One mentality that I always loved about Al Davis, the deceased Oakland Raiders, LA Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders owner, he always wanted the opposing team's quarterback to be on the ground within the first series of the game. And I love that mentality. I do. I love that. Because you can't come and play my defense and not think that it's going to be sweet. And I want my players to have that type of mentality. You're going to touch that ground the first series. These offensive linemen are not going to be able to save you because we got some dogs over here. They're going to put you on the ground. They're going to make you scared, make you nervous, make you make a mistake, and we're going to win the game. And that's a great mentality, man. I'm pretty sure the Chicago Bears, they had opposing quarterbacks pissing the pants. The Steelers, the Ravens. Like, the reason why all this stuff matters is because football is a chess game. You get into the head of the opposing quarterback, and it's their downfall. We've seen underdogs take down giants. I've seen Giants take down Patriots with their defensive line. Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Jason Pierre-Paul. And this team was so underrated. They was going up against a juggernaut. Tom Brady has scored 50 passing touchdowns. Randy Moss caught 23 passing touchdowns. And they beat them in the Super Bowl. Not because Eli Manning was better. Not because Plesko Burrs was better. Not because David Tyree made some tremendous catch. Just schematically wise. Just schematically. Those down linemen put pressure on the quarterback. And it was just... And that Giants team was his wild card team. All the Falcons had to do was make the playoffs. You know what I mean? The Patriots was 18-0 going into that Super Bowl. Nobody gave them a chance to win. But Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, and Jason Pierre-Paul put their big boy pants on and went to work. They went to work. We just seen this happen in the Super Bowl this past year. Don't forget Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. Yeah, but it doesn't fit my narrative that I'm going for right now. We just seen this happen last year. This past Super Bowl. We had Jalen Carter, Jordan Davidson putting Pat Mahomes' hand in his face mask and punching him. They was pummeling that dude into the ground, man. You can't tell me that defensive line play does not matter. It does. It's the only defense that you have against a superior quarterback. When you can get pressure, when he's not protected by the offensive line or running back with a tight end, and you don't even have to blitz, that puts fear in anybody's heart, man. We need pressure. We need picks. We need sacks. We need all that. We need to speed up the game. We can't let opposing quarterbacks make a sandwich in the pocket. We can't let them call their moms, text their girlfriends. We can't let them do that. They need a 2 second, like, nah, man. And then, like I said, the Super Bowl collapse. How much time Brady need in the pocket to pick us apart? He had all the time he needed. Vic Beasley vanished. Dwight Freeney had a sack. Grady Jarrett was able to get pressure here and there. But just overall, we lost. The trenches. The trenches was lost. Bill Belichick dug in deep, and they just picked us apart. We couldn't get any pressure on Brady. Julian Edelman was able to get open and make plays. And, God. The DC has been talking about faster, better response. We need to. I mean, because you can't let opposing quarterbacks make a sandwich in the pocket. We can't. We can't let people just sit back there and pick us apart. And that's what the Atlanta Falcons do. That's what happened in the Super Bowl. That's what, anytime we have a major collapse and teams come back, I guarantee you it's got something to do with the defensive line. I can guarantee you that every great Falcons team gets undone by one thing. Defense can't close. It's always been this way. The NFC Championship game in 2013, the Green Bay Packers game in 2011, the wild card game against New York. We just talked about that. Let's see. The last time we went to the playoffs, the Eagles, I'd probably just say the offense just lost. We played a good defensive game, but just a lot of times, like the Cowboys game when we lost a couple years back, defense. If the defense is anywhere near the Jets' defense these last 4 years, we're going to the playoffs. I think we're going to the playoffs just because that we put in a lot of effort. We've been establishing a better culture here in Atlanta now. With Raheem Morris coming in, Arthur Smith going out, we've been trying to establish a great defense, a young team that's hungry and vibrant. And we need, yeah, man, I can't underestimate how important the defensive line is. I just really can't. I can't. We just seen it in the Super Bowl. Like I said, we just seen it. So, you can't build a championship team without a defensive line, without a good defensive line. I'm sorry. You can't. We've seen, who's that? The Rams, they won a Super Bowl with Aaron Donald, who's great. Pat Mahomes had Chris Jones. Jalen Hurts has Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. The Patriots have always had a great defense. One of the reasons why we lost the Super Bowl was because the Patriots just tightened up in the second half. You need a defensive line, man, to win a champion, to win a ship. That's what you need. You need a defensive line. And the fans are frustrated because I'm not old enough to remember, but if some fans old enough to remember the Grits Blitz, the 1970s Atlanta Falcons on a 14-game season, of course, where they set the record for the most sacks in a 14-game season. We had a terrible offense, so we had a mediocre team, but we had one of the greatest defenses of all time, the Grits Blitz. 14-game seasons where we sit the house every time we played defense. And it worked. We got sacks. We didn't win any championships, but we got sacks. So, and I hear people talk about them a lot. And I want to get back to those times where the defense is great, because I've never been a Falcons fan and the defensive line has been the star. It's always been the offense. It's been Michael Vick. It's been Matt Ryan, Roddy White, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez. Now we got Bijan. We got Drake London. We thought we had Kyle Pitts, but we've never had a defensive line star. We thought we had that in Vic Beasley. He lied to us. We think we had that in Jalen Walker. We're going to hope. We're going to wait and see. We thought we had it in Zach McKinley. He lied to us. A lot of players lied to us. We thought we had that in Jamal Anderson. He lied to us. A lot of players lied to us. And we just want a great defensive line. I do. I want to see pressure on quarterback. I want to see sacks. I hate watching my defense play. I do. It's not fun. It's not fun watching your defense play because you know they're gonna fold eventually. They're gonna fold. In the biggest of moments, they're gonna fold. So what do? Well, fans are frustrated, and don't sleep on James Pierce Jr. I can't think of his name. I ain't gonna lie. It says I have him right here in my notes. But like I said, he's a Tennessee player. So I'm not going to remember any Tennessee player. I'm a Georgia fan. You understand? So, yes, the fans are frustrated. And we've been wanting to see a great defense for a long time. So I think that now is the time. with James Pierce Jr. And Jalen Walker coming in. We got 2 first-round picks this past draft, and we used them on defensive players. I'm not mad. I'm so excited for this. I'm excited. I mean, of course, Jalen Walker's coming. Watch his film, dog, at Tennessee. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you I'm about to watch the Tennessee game now. No crazy shit like that. But I'm gonna take your word for it. What you say over here on TikTok? Never? Okay, cool. I'm gonna take your word for it. But yes, I'm excited to see what happens. I hope that Raheem Morris can coach these guys up and get them in place to be able to play at their best as rookies. That's all I want. Xavier Watts and Bo Bowman both led FBS and interceptions since 2022. That's what's up. I just hope that Raheem Morris, and I don't even know who our defensive coordinator is. I just hope that we can get these players coached up and ready to go in the first, you know what I mean? I just hope that, because last year we started off slow defensively. We started off very slow. Jared Verse won Defensive Rookie of the Year with 4.5 sacks. That's terrible. That's a terrible stat. That's a terrible stat. 4.5 sacks. But I just want these players to play good, man. I'm just tired of watching players come from Georgia and go to other teams and play well. And now, you know, we have a Georgia dude. We got a Tennessee player. Something's got to shake. Something got to shake this year, man. Something got to shake. We got to get back to the playoffs. We got to get back to having a 10-sack season. We got to get back to having consistent pressure on the quarterback. We've already loaded up our talent on offense. We've got young players galore all over the offense. Kyle Pitts can get traded tomorrow. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't cry or shed a tear. Not even a little bit. He can go skedaddle, get up out of here. He ain't trying to win no shit. No way. We still got Mike P. We got Bijan. We got Drake London. You know what I'm talking about? And we still got Chris Lindstrom. We got the anchor on the left side, Jake Matthews. You know what I'm talking about? And then we got our backup running back, Tyler Algiers. We might need somebody to compliment Drake London in the near future. Darnell Mooney can't be here forever. But we just need to load up talent on this defense. We've already started with Jared Cook Jr. and Jalen Walker. Grady Jarrett is out. A.J. Terrell is a vet now. Jesse Bates Jr. can hold down that backside, man. He can hold it down. He just needs somebody to get pressure on the quarterback to take some pressure off of him so he can do his thing and roam around the backside and get picks. You know what I'm talking about? That's all we need. We need sacks. We need pressure. Defensive line play matters. Big boys matter. We do. Fat boys matter. Get to the quarterback. That's all we ask, man. Thank y'all for joining me, man. It's been a fun time talking about the Atlanta Falcons defensive line struggles since the year 2000. 25 years of D-line struggles. Thank y'all, man. We're going to come back next week to talk about another Falcons issue. Y'all like, subscribe, share, comment. Y'all let me know what y'all want me to talk about next week, because I plan on trying to do this every Monday, man. So, yeah, y'all tap in. I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all. All right, I'm on 2 different things, so it's going to take me a minute to get